Anyway, all of that to say,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, today's guest,
We're here.
the Jimmy Lubonski.
Yeah.
I was going to say actually early on, the name of the show is Chasing Greatness, but we're in the presence of greatness already.
No,
but
dude.
I got to tell you, so very sincerely, and it's been so fun getting to actually spend time with you in person the last few days. And then I kind of have this like inspired by example movement that I'm working on. And I'm going to share with everybody a little bit of a background, but being in person with you for me feels like a huge 360 moment. That's because cool. I started engaging with your content years ago. And actually, let me tee it up real quick. For everybody listening, Jimmy is a father. You're an athlete. You're a former first responder. You did 365 days of Murph, 365 days of Hero WODs. You're a community leader. You're just such a... It's been so fun to get to know you through your content and social media and all that stuff. And then, as we've gotten the opportunity to work together professionally, that's even been, a whole nother level of it. But it's been so cool for me because so many times, you'll interact with people online and it's like there's this version and then there's the real version.
Yep.
And, like we've been messaging each other for years and like sharing ideas about coming and hunting or, me coming out there or whatever. And anyway, it's been refreshing to get to know that like that's the real Jimmy too, Yeah. So I just want to share with you before we dive in what an impact you've made on me. So when I've been Murphing now I say on Mondays we Murph, and it's my little thing on every Monday we Murph. But you're what started that thought process. And when was that? 2021?
3 years ago now?
Yeah.
So 3 years ago now.
So yeah.
I think.
It's been a while.
Yeah, 2022 I think.
And because I used to do my own, whatever, but I had this like challenge thing that I started doing in the pandemic. And because I'm not a CrossFit guy, you know that.
Yeah.
By the way, if anybody listening, don't ever CrossFit with Jimmy.
No.
I'm still sore today.
You did good, man. You did really good.
It was really cool because you inspired the heck out of me. And I loved like watching it and watching your journey and all of that stuff. And so anyway, that's where I kind of want to start the conversation is I think that, and one of the craziest things was you had the flu and you still pulled it off.
Yeah, I had COVID too during that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like watching the consistency and the determination and the grit that you showed I saw you do it in hotels, like fly with your vest, do it through the flu, do it through COVID and all that stuff. It was remarkable. Yeah. And it left an impact on me that still resonates to this day. Cool. So like I got a little bit of, I don't know what they call it. What do they call it? Like starstruck or whatever.
Oh man.
But I'm stoked to be around you. And my point is that it's been cool to see now that all that's been authentic from the beginning. So that's where I want to start. Walk me through that. The desire to Murph for a year. I want to get into your head a little bit and walk me back to I don't know, that stage in your life.
Yeah. So first off, I'm going to say there is a very big difference between some of people that are like influencers and then when you meet them in real life, it's weird, man. Like I remember being at the CrossFit Games and like talking to like huge influence brand ambassadors or guys in the space, and you could talk to them and it's like, okay, cool, you are the person that I thought you were. You are a regular dude like I know you are. And then you couldn't talk to some people. You'd be like, God, this dude is am I allowed to cuss on this one?
Oh yeah.
All right, I was like, God, this guy's a fucking weirdo. Like he literally just does enough for this 30-second clip and then I don't know who he is after that. Right. So like I didn't think of that. Like going into it, I'm like, I was like almost the reverse thing. I was like, God, I hope people don't think like I'm a weirdo because I'm doing this.
Almost because it was scary to put it out there?
Yo, dude, it's terrifying for me because like I come from a background of like my cop friends that are like, I worked on a really specific unit that was like a really aggressive street crime saturation unit that we did jump outs, like high speed stuff. Like, and all these dudes are like stud athletes, like way more athletically talented than me. And I was like,
which is saying something.
I don't think so, but I appreciate it. But I was like, man, if these guys see this, like it'll be the death of me on the department. Like, so like I got to put this on TikTok because none of them had TikTok and they made fun of people for watching TikToks at the time. So I was like, all right, I'll put it on this because it is like kind of a journey that I do want to document because I just kind of want to see what happens. I've seen people do 30 days and all of that on a secondary level of kind of what me and you briefly touched on, in that I was in a pretty low spot going into Murph. I had just come off of basically separating from the police department via retirement.
And how long were you on the police department?
12 years.
12 years, yeah.
And it was like where I worked. I mean, it's a pretty intense 12 years. Like it becomes your identity. And I think that you can kind of resonate with this when you're a football player, like that is your identity. Like
who you are.
Yeah. So when I stopped being a football player, when like I wasn't good enough to play at the next level, like in college, I was like, it was a huge identity crisis for me. I was like, I don't know who I am. I'm just a regular student?
Right.
No, I'm not. So then like it's immediately switched to like, okay, I'm leaving school. Like football didn't work out. I'm leaving school. Football and baseball didn't work out. I'm leaving school. I'm going to be a cop. Like that is my identity now. So that became my identity. All of my friends, all of my groomsmen, everybody, they're all cops.
Yeah, and I would imagine, especially because I think you know this, but I'm on the fire department.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was great for me, because I had a similar thing, like once football ended, I lacked like a community and a camaraderie with like physical, pursuits of stuff.
Yeah.
And I found that the next step for me on that was at the fire department. But my level there, I'm a volunteer. We go to trainings, and for a while there, I was responding pretty regularly. A couple calls a week type of thing. Obviously, that's changed now that I've got 3 kids and all that stuff. But I can't even imagine. And that my point is that I can understand that bond and like that culture piece of it.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine 12 years of, eating, sleeping, living, breathing with these guys. And you're having the intense situations. I mean, life-threatening. I mean, all this stuff too. So anyway, I can imagine
those are
like how close the bonds get.
Yeah, those are my best friends in the world.
Yeah.
Still to this day. Like my best friends, hands down. And I miss them. I mean, dude, I get emotional thinking about it. Like I miss those dudes so much, and they're such a big part of my life. So when that ended for me, it was like, who am I? I didn't know what I was going to do for work. I didn't, everything was up in the air.
Yeah.
Well, at the time I was actually transitioning out of the department, and I had been assigned to a different unit. I was getting retired through medical reasons, and I was on a desk working property, and just, it sucked.
The dynamic changed.
Yeah, it wasn't there. My guys weren't there. I was like, I got to get out of this and be done with it. And then I was done with it, and I was like, I got to do something to get back to me, because I had felt so lost at that point, losing that unit and that camaraderie and everything that went into it, my identity, financial situation, like a lot of stuff.
All of it, yeah.
All of it all at once. And I remember just sitting there like being like, dude, in tears. Like, who am I? Like, what am I going to do next?
Right.
And I didn't have an answer.
And at this stage, are you married? Do you have kids yet?
Yeah, I had 2 kids.
So you have 2 kids. You're married. And because that's the other thing about that too is, like, there's 2 levels to that. One is the identity crisis, like the removal from the core self moment. And then there's the pressure of a husband and a father.
Yeah.
So I can totally relate to that chapter.
Yeah.
Like that. And how heavy that moment must have been.
It was huge. But my wife did such a good job of saying, like, just words of affirmation, of reassuring me, like, you are one of the most, like, you can pull yourself out of any situation and figure out a way to win out of it. Like, that is what you bring to the table in every situation. Like, you're a winner. You will win. You'll find a way. She kept saying that to me. And
Winners
like,
win, losers lose.
Yeah. And it's like, and you'll just keep finding a way to win in every situation until it's long-term winning. And I really do think there is something to that. I mean, it's just, it's hard work, and like, it's a lot of times throwing shit at the wall that doesn't stick and feeling like a loser in the moment. But I think you're a winner if you just keep trying to find ways to win.
Exactly.
So
winners win.
And I didn't start that whole thing to think. So all of that to say, when the whole Murph thing started, I was in a rut with fitness, and it was all playing into this identity crisis, the transition out of the job, everything that was going on. I was dealing with a lot of emotional, mental stuff at the time for things that had happened on the police department. Whether we like to admit it or not, like, it's not normal, the shit that we were doing for 12 years, especially my unit. It wasn't normal. And it's pretty commonplace to not talk about it amongst guys. I mean, we did some really fucked up stuff in 12 years. We saw a lot of fucked up stuff in 12 years. We saw a lot of people die. We saw a lot of death, destruction, chaos, people on their worst days. Like, it's not ideal for the human's brain to go through that, to live that and be in that moment every single, because you're in that moment, like, I don't know, extreme downs in somebody's worst moment of their life multiple times in a 10-hour period.
You know, I'll butcher how it was described, but somebody described it so well. It was basically like, we have to live everybody's worst day daily.
Yeah. Multiple times.
Like, usually people have to experience that level of trauma or chaos or intensity once. And for first responders, especially, I mean, gosh, in the law enforcement side of it, daily.
Particularly where I was at. And I remember one day we went to 4 homicides.
Wow.
And that's 4 people's moms.
Right.
On the scene, hysterically crying, looking at somebody for some kind of answer.
Yeah, looking to you for answers.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't know.
And you're just a guy.
Yeah, I'm just a guy. I'm just there, but like trying your best, and like, you separate yourself from the situation, like you have to in the moment to professionally do your job, but also like then you might go to a call where somebody's trying to kill you, which what I was doing happened a lot. Like there was regular fights with guys on the ground wrestling over a gun with my unit. Like it happened on a regular basis.
Yeah.
It was considered a failure in my unit if you didn't get an illegal firearm off the street.
Really?
Yeah. You weren't judged off of, I didn't write a DUI in 12 years.
Right.
I don't know how to write a DUI.
Whole other level.
I didn't write a traffic ticket. I don't know how to do that. What we did was we went and looked for really bad people doing really bad things.
Right.
And so that opens up a whole new can of worms of like the propensity to get into those situations, the likelihood that you will is pretty high.
Well, yeah.
Right. So I dealt with a lot of stuff. I was unpacking a lot of stuff emotionally, mentally at the time, dealing with a lot of PTSD through former incidents. And I was just in a giant rut, man. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I kind of told you this on my run. I wish I could say I started this whole thing to bring awareness to Mike Murphy and fallen heroes. And I was be very candid and upfront in saying this was a very selfish thing for me. It was for me. I needed to do something to pull my head out of whatever cyclone it was in the moment where I was in my lowest low, to just get in a routine of doing something really fucking hard.
Yeah.
That also was a cool cause.
Yeah.
That I believed in. And kind of paralleled that at the time. And I was like, let me document it. And I just want to, it'll hold me accountable to myself daily.
Is that why the documentation?
Yeah.
For yourself?
Yeah. It was for myself. I wanted to see what would happen to my physical and mental over the course of 30 days.
Yeah.
If I did this, because I saw other guys do it for 30 days. I didn't see anybody do it with a vest for 30 days at the time. And I was just like, I did Murph that Memorial Day going into it. And it was the first time in 3 months that I didn't think about anything except doing that workout.
Except for doing it, yeah.
And it was such a freeing feeling. And I said, I want to do this for 30 days and just see what happens.
And then it evolved.
And then I got to 30 days and I had guys reaching out to me. This is where it really hits home. I had first responders reaching out to me, military reaching out to me saying, I'm out of shape. This got me to go do so-and-so.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is my biggest pet peeve on the department is fat fucking cops.
Right.
And this is why, not because you're fat. It's because I have kids at home. If I'm in the fight for my life, you're the guy coming to save me.
Right.
You better fucking take it serious.
Right.
I'm serious. I'm like, that is how strongly I believed in it. Like I'd see a cop that was out of shape and I go, it's not about you, man. It's about the other 2,000 guys that you're going to back up. You're saying, your life is not worth my 45 minutes in the gym.
Right.
Fuck that, dude.
Right.
That's the most ridiculous statement or mindset to have. It's a quitter loser mindset and it's personal at that point.
Yeah.
So if I could reach out and hit those guys that maybe had fallen, because at some point they had to have had physical capabilities because they passed the test.
At one point, yeah.
We're not talking about people that are handicapped or can't do it. We're talking about guys that are mental midgets that for some reason took the easy way out and didn't want to work hard because they don't understand the entirety of the situation.
Right.
So I'm like, if I'm getting through to them, dude, I'll do this every day for the rest of my life.
That's what I was going to ask, because like, I'm kind of on this mission to like inspire people and make people the best version of themselves and all that stuff.
It's addicting, dude.
It's the best. And when people reach out and say that you're making an impact, which it's like I can't even explain how much it means to me.
Yeah.
Like, because sometimes I'm like, I don't even know if anybody's listening.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I
Yeah.
have no clue. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like I don't have the audience you have. Like,
Yeah.
mine's like
Yeah.
tiny. But when you know you're impacting someone,
It's so
it's
cool.
wild how that fuels you more.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
you get the feedback loop.
Yeah, and I also think that it can react a certain way. I think you and I align in this where you almost feel an obligation at that point because you've done it, and now it's like I've already set the bar, and it has to continue because this is how people view me.
It's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
Like when I was running Buffalo Run, part of it was like I got to put it out there a bunch because I knew that like and obviously that's not like the thing that's going to keep you going when you're out there, but it helped.
It helps.
Like
it doesn't hurt.
Somebody who said it of like you got to talk enough shit. Like you have to put it out there enough to know that like there's going to be, I guess to use your words, the accountability side of it too.
Yeah.
So about 30 days, then you start getting some of that good, that feedback and stuff. At what point did you commit to the year?
So TikTok blew up. It was like day 28 or 29. It went insane. Yeah. I had 2 days in a row where I think I had over 1 million views.
Wild.
And it was really cool because my inbox was just littered with.
And it's funny. We've talked about it. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we've talked about it as we've been spending some time in person. Whether it's good or bad, we both do really well with words of affirmation.
Yeah, dude.
And one of the things I'm working on, and I'll be honest and candid with it, I'm working on separating my self-worth from my accomplishments. Like I always tie how I view myself is always tied to accomplishments.
Yeah.
The problem is that it's fleeting. So like I'll accomplish something big and I'll feel good about myself for like a week. And then I'm like, well, I got to do something else. It drives my wife nuts but I also love that about me because it's what keeps me hungry.
Fuels your fire, man.
Anybody can say that those comments don't matter. They do.
They matter. They drive me in every direction, good or bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
good or bad.
I read the comments, some sucked.
Yeah.
A lot of them were really fucking awesome. And it was the ones that really hit me were the guys in the military and the first responders that were taking accountability for their fitness.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you're
inspiring them to get going.
Yeah. And then take it a step further. I had some of Mike Murphy's family members reach out.
No way.
Yeah. And that was really cool.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that on the Hero Odds, but I regularly had the fallen hero's father, mother, sister DM me and say how special it was to see that 100,000, 300,000 people saw their significant other's story and understood everything that happened.
Right.
And that's it. If the least we can do is tell their story, that's everything.
Right.
So I had all of those external factors going into day 30 and I was like, you know what? I've never seen anybody else do it for a year. I'm going to do it for 365 days. And then I found a guy who had done it for a year. He's badass too. But it didn't have the traction I think that I got. And I saw the chance to make an impact on a community that I cared so much about.
Yeah.
And also,
meaning the first responders.
Yeah. And also it was mentally, I wasn't thinking about my problems that I had for 3 months going into.
It actually worked.
Yeah. No, dude, it was.
Why do you think that is? Like because now that you have the benefit of hindsight or retrospect, because I can totally get, that moment and it's like, okay, I got to do something. Like for me, it's running or whatever.
Yeah.
But it actually worked.
It's because I forgot at some point in my life in that like whole spiral of everything going down. And I say this to my wife on a regular basis and like people that I work with when they doubt me. I always say, I'm that motherfucker.
Right.
And I'm like, I forgot I was that motherfucker in that moment.
Yourself, right?
Yeah. Cause I'm like, people are like, you can't do 365 days. And I'm like,
watch me.
I'm a fucking dog.
Right.
Like I forgot in the moment when going through all that shit, the thing that made me such a good cop and such a good ruthless person at like pursuit of excellence. Like that is it. It's because I have something in me where I'll just put my head down to the ground and I'll just work myself into pieces trying to gain it.
So you think it was like it was big. It wasn't a distraction at that point. It actually reminded
No,
you of who you were.
it reminded me of who I am, and it's like hard work over everything.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, and that was like, if I could do this, it was a catalyst to everything else.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, go start a brand. All right, go start a nonprofit for first responders. All right, do this, do that. And it was like, boom, start Murph, like every day, get in that discipline level. And then I was also doing CrossFit on the side, like lots of CrossFit. And then I started coaching classes at the gym, and I saw people like really putting out in my classes. And I was like, dude, this is so cool. Like everyone kind of maybe then imposter syndrome kind of creeps in a little bit, and you're like, all right, everybody thinks I'm this guy, like now I have to be this guy. Right. And it's like you're playing mental games back and forth with yourself all the time. But the whole thing is like, I think during that situation I reminded myself, because you can ask people prior to it, like, have you ever worked out with Jimmy? And they'd be like, yeah, he's a fucking psychopath. And like, I am.
That killed me yesterday.
No, you were fine. But like, that is where I find true joy in life. In that 30-minute mark of that 60-minute workout, I could do that 12 times a day and I would be the happiest fucking person in the world.
Right.
When I am in like an extreme pain situation in a workout, everything else just kind of.
Why do you think that is? So, and
I don't know, man.
I've got a similar.
I have no idea.
For some reason, for me, and I have found it that it's on the micro and the macro level. When things get tough, I thrive, and I don't know, like. There's like, I'm the guy that'll sing songs while we're digging lines on a wildland fire.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm pumped up to be packing an elk out of the mountain or whatever.
Yeah.
But also like when business gets tough, I just am like, let's go. Like, I don't know what it is. And I don't know, I've thought about that for a while, because I don't know if that's like a learned behavior or a reaction to the circumstance.
I think it's deep rooted in your DNA at this point through prior events.
Yeah, because you know that you can get through it.
Yeah, and it's not to say that you're not going to question in the moment.
Right.
Like, you're definitely in your mind. I don't care who you say you are. I don't care if it's Jordan taking the shot at the end of the game. Like, in his mind, like, there is still a little bit of doubt.
Right.
There has to be. These guys that say there's no doubt, they're full of shit.
Right.
Like, there is doubt, but pushing through it and like overpowering it with that other mindset, I think you can do that.
Did you ever get to the point where you like that imposter syndrome left and you were that guy? Like that you felt like you were that guy?
No, it always came. I was at the CrossFit. No, yeah, even still. Yeah, every day. I could take this business that I'm currently in and 6x it, and I'll still look back at it and have another opportunity and go, can I replicate this?
Yeah.
Like, can I do it again? Is it real? Was it me or was it the circumstance I was
lucky?
in? Yeah. And you could do it. I could do it 15 times. And in the beginning, I'd still question it. But then when things get hard, I have to remind myself and go back to, I am that fucking dude.
Guy.
Yeah. And that's like, I'll tell in my current situation in sales, like if I'm under quota, which we have a crazy quota set, we go into a third week in the month meeting and he's like, you're at 25% of the quota. And I say, bet against me.
Yeah.
Please, I'm fucking begging you right now to tell me I fucking can't do it.
And then you make it happen.
And then I make it happen every single time.
Yeah.
And that is the greatest feeling in my life, is proving people wrong. And that's something I'm completely addicted to.
And you had that, you always had that.
Yeah.
The Murph reminded you.
Yeah, I had that from the day that I stepped onto a football field or a baseball field when I was younger. I just was always counted out. Even like, as insignificant as it may be in life, like high school football going into like senior year after being a starter for the 3 years prior to that, like the coach bringing in some new kid out of town being like, yeah, he's going to play outside linebacker this year. And I'm like, the fuck he is? You must have forgot.
Right.
And then I go into practice and I'm just a fucking dog.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just be the guy that he's like, God damn, dude, stop working so hard. I can't.
Right.
Like, that's just me. And I'm like, I'm going to outwork you to death.
Do you ever think you work too hard?
There's no such thing. The only time there's a such thing is when it comes to spending time with your kids.
Yeah.
That's the only time I ever feel that.
Which I would argue, like my approach to fatherhood is that I put work into it. Like I'm intentional about it. So it's a different, I'm still applying work ethic to it, even though it might not look like that, sometimes it's just being present. Like being there without my phone or hanging out with the kids or whatever. But I think that actually my work ethic translates to that world.
Yeah.
It just in different,
Yeah, it has
different
to.
ways. Because like the last thing I ever would want is to know that I could have tried harder at being a dad.
Yeah, and that's something that creeps into my mind, right? So I'm watching my kids get older. I'm like, shit, did I got to be careful here. I don't want to miss a year.
Yeah.
Like, it flies so fast, and you're like, then you'll go back and you'll think about a day where like you had a rough day at work, you worked a little bit too hard, and you got home, and I'm like, I just want to watch college basketball right now, and my kids are sitting on the ground playing, and I'm like, looking back on it the day after, I'm like, dude,
I could have been
like
better.
30 minutes. Yeah. Just get off the couch and go play with them. And maybe to my detriment that I sit there and overthink about it or overthink it, and then maybe it'll affect the current moment that we're in.
Yeah.
But it's a fine line, man.
It's so hard. But I think just the fact that you're thinking about it, like shows to the type of dad that you are. Because I'm the same way. Like the other night, I think it was last night actually. Mm-hmm. I had a long day, and my boys weren't going to bed, and they were supposed to be. Yeah. And usually I let them, they share a room. Yeah. And I usually kind of let them be wild. Like, I think they need some time. Like, it's all good. But it was getting like, it was almost 9 o'clock. And I'm like, guys, you got to get to bed. And my oldest was like kind of grabbing my arm, like, will you snuggle me? And I was in fact, it was like my bedtime at that point. Yeah. And so I didn't. And then I started thinking like, I should have.
How many more moments are you going to get?
Yeah. Like I should have just gotten in and snuggled him. But it's so... Well,
then you just make up for it the next.
Perfection.
Yeah, and you make up for it the next day. But the fact that it's on your mind is already like, that's the biggest thing, man. Because then, like, in the grand scheme of life, like, if it's good that you're thinking about it, because then you have tomorrow,
right?
And you can go back and fix it. Yeah, and you just get a little bit better, and you just try to maximize as many of those situations that you can. And I think you can look back on it and say, I did a pretty damn good job.
Yeah. So what's crazy, and one of the things that I want to hear from you about. Because I had mentioned earlier in your intro, but the 365 of Murph and then the 365 of Hero was. Yeah. It's like I view that as like an endurance event times 10. Yeah. I've run 100 milers. I love running ultras, as you know.
100 milers are so different.
Nothing better.
But I would disagree.
and nothing worse. But there's. Well, my point is that that's like one effort that's long drawn out. Mm-hmm. What I think is remarkable and very unique about those two efforts for you is that, like, you think about the when I go into a 100 miler, I know for sure there's going to be a problem to solve. Like whatever it's going to be, you just know that an issue is going to occur. Yeah. But then you think about the likelihood of problems arising in a year. Like the sickness, the kids. Like, I want to know, because you decided then to go a year. Yeah. At that point, decisions made. Mm-hmm. No negotiate. Not negotiable. It's happening.
Yeah. So for Murph, the decision was made. I put it out there. I was not going to waver from that. Period. There was too many eyes on me, holding me accountable. And the thing started creeping in my mind. I'm like, all right, well, what if these people are building me up to this thing, and this guy, at the time, there's a 300-pound cop that I was DMing with on a regular basis. He had already lost 75 pounds.
How cool.
In 4 months, right? And dude, I DM this guy on the regular. We exchange phone numbers. I'm like texting this guy. He's showing me his updates. I'm like, this guy, in an example of times, there's 100 of those guys. Right. Think I'm this guy. If I don't do this because of a flu or COVID, like, fuck that. Yeah. Like, that could be what makes that guy just say, oh, well, yeah, this was a sham the whole time. Like, this guy was an Instagram influencer the whole time. Like, this was all for nothing. Right. And I would just hate for that to happen. So,
were there times, though, that stopping entered your mind?
No. Never, dude. I never in a million years, like, in that moment, never considered it. Wow. At all. During Murph. Right. Never considered it. I never considered it during Hero 365 either.
Never?
No. I never wanted to stop. But in the course of a 100-mile race, there's hundreds of times within each race that I said enough is enough. Yeah. And then kept going. And then sometimes I've bowed out. But we'll get into that later. But the Murph thing in the 365 was just more of a, like, I understood the platform that I had, and I took it pretty serious.
Yeah, which I love.
and it was bigger than me type moment for Murph, right? And then that was all kind of transpired through selfish reasons, but then grew into something that was like giving
Turned into
back,
something,
right?
yeah.
And it became more serious to me when it was giving back to others.
Right.
And then I realized I just did a year telling Mike Murphy's story.
And now you've got a platform, you've got an audience,
Mhm.
you know.
And I looked back on it and I said, I did his workout. I told his story every day for a year. There's a first responder or a military veteran that died every single day that we can go through the year. Like, they deserve the same thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I feel like I have an obligation now because I have this to then show them honor by doing this every single day. So the secondary, the hero was not a selfish reason.
Right.
In fact, I did not want to do it.
Do you think that that's because you personally grew
Yeah.
through the Murph process?
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, there's always that dilemma of like, we have to, you know, that adage of we have to fill ourselves in order to fill others.
Mhm.
But like, do you feel like that experience, I don't know if healed you is the right
Yeah,
word.
I was filled after the third month.
Yeah.
The third month, I was content at what I had set out in the first 30 days to achieve mentally and emotionally to conquer my demons. It was done after 3 months. I was done.
And now you can pour
At
into others.
that point, it was giving back to others.
So cool.
And then it was, you know, it went on, and then it was kind of a, what are you going to do next? And I was like, why are people even asking me what I'm just a guy.
Was that weird?
It's very weird.
Well,
It's very weird.
I want to hear about heroes, so don't
Yeah.
let me forget because I'm
Yeah.
very interested.
We'll dive
about
into
it.
that.
But I also just want to hear, like, you know, I'm seeing it. You're a normal guy fighting some battles, doing your thing.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden,
It was
all eyes on you,
right.
like spotlight, whatever. Aside from the workout component of it,
Mhm.
what was that like?
It was very
like,
weird.
All of a sudden having a real audience.
It was very weird. People were coming like to our gym to specifically work out with me, which I thought was super cool. Like, I
Yeah.
loved it. We always had a great time, but I'm just like you've hung out with me. I am like the guy that you went to high school with. Like,
Right.
I'm a regular ass person.
Which I think adds to the coolness of it, though.
A lot of people said that, and I'm like, dude, I'm just a regular guy. Like, and I don't try to build it up to be something insane. Like, you saw my edits on Murph. Like, it was just a phone in a garage or in a gym.
They were great, though.
Yeah, and I would just be like, hey guys, like, I feel like shit today. We're doing Murph. Like, I just tried to be so authentically
real,
me.
yeah.
Like, and it was, and it came off that way. And I think that's probably why it gained so much traction. But yeah, it was super weird. I remember we were at like a St. Patrick's Day parade, and I had like 9 different people from the Naval Academy come and be like, oh, we're following you on blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, geez, dude, this is kind of weird.
Did you start to feel pressure?
Yeah, but from my followers base within the Murph thing and the guys, the first responders that were reaching out to me, I didn't really, the outside noise other than that didn't really matter to me.
Okay, yeah.
No, because there was plenty of times where like the social media platform would have understood why I stopped.
Right.
Like, there was
like the flu day.
Yeah.
I remember watching
I was throwing up that last mile took me like almost an hour.
Yeah.
Because I was throwing up every like 5 steps.
I mean, didn't it take like half a day to do?
No. It took 2 hours.
I mean, but it was
a much longer than it was like 4 times longer, and it sucked. It hurt the whole time. But like, it was not stopping was never on my mind, and outside pressure from like anyone other than like the first responders that were DMing me, I didn't care about.
Where do you think, because, you know, the cool thing about your story, I mean, like, Murphing for a year is cool.
Yeah.
But what's cooler about it is the mindset behind it and like the person behind it.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, you know, you talked about a little bit that like transition moment from, you know, retirement from the police department, going to there, and that, like, I'll just call it a soul searching.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a good way to describe it.
There's 100 paths somebody could take at that moment. You know, I mean, drugs, alcohol,
yeah.
You know,
I actually stopped drinking.
Yeah,
I didn't do any.
And you know, I think that's one of the neatest things about that moment is the path that you chose. What I'm curious about is if you have any insight, you know, if it's from your upbringing or sports or whatever, but like, where do you think this mindset came from? Like, how do you think you got the mental tools to, because it's one thing to keep Murphing when we're 6 months in, you got a huge audience, you're healthy, you're feeling good. And that's one thing.
Yeah.
When there's no audience,
Yeah.
it's dark. it's alone, and and
Yeah.
that I think is actually more impressive. Where did that come from?
Internal stuff. My dad was my football coach my whole life. My dad was a retired cop too. He's pretty tough on me, but one thing stuck with me, and it was like, he came from nothing, like parents like didn't even make it out of like the 6th grade. Like that entire,
truly nothing.
yeah, like truly nothing. Like my family is like straight white trash, dude. Like where they grew up, everything, like the most poverty stricken area in the DMV. And he always said, like, there's something that you were born with though, and it was probably like a bluff at the time, but and I say it to my kids now, I'm like, you are a Lubonski. Like you have this gritty, shitty thing about you where you will outwork any motherfucker in front of you.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't care if you're sweeping floors as a janitor, you're going to be a dog when it comes to sweeping floors. And I was like, and then the legend of it kind of like just grew in my mind.
Like almost that you were told that enough that it became part of your identity of the worker.
A hard worker. Yeah.
Was there evidence to it? Like,
yeah,
did
for
you
sure.
work as a kid?
For sure. Yeah, no, I had my first job when I was 12.
Okay.
I paid for my first car in cash when I was 16 because we didn't have any money to buy a car. Paid for my college, paid for everything from working at a stone yard when I was 12 when everybody else was like enjoying their summer break.
Right.
Like, dude, I was hauling stones around making, $5 an hour.
Yeah.
But I had enough cash to do whatever I wanted and to kind of supplement for what we didn't have. Cause when I think we're like pretty similar age, but 04 to 07, like economically, like we were in crisis in America. Like a lot of people were losing their jobs. Like it was rough. Like it impacted my family big time.
Yeah.
And to be able to supplement that, like I just went out and worked as hard as I could and got a bunch of different jobs and saved up a bunch of money and, bought my own car, paid for my own insurance, my own cell phone. Like when I was 16, I paid for my own cell phone, my own insurance. I paid, like when we had football stuff come up and you had to buy your Spirit pack, which is like your pads and your cleats and stuff. I paid for all that.
You paid it for your own.
Yeah. And it's not because my parents like were choosing not to do it. Like they couldn't, with 4 kids and like minimal income, like dude, they couldn't afford $150 cleats.
Right.
Like, and I knew if I wanted them, like I just got to go out and work for them.
Have to make it happen.
Yeah. And I think it just
How do you think they taught you that?
I remember my dad at a young age, we were playing like a private school and we were playing a team where most of the kids went to private school. And we were kind of like, the slumming it, like, what's that movie where the kids are like the ragtag
I know the
bunch?
one you're talking about.
And he was just like, these kids are going to have a leg up on you for the rest of your life. So hit them as hard as you fucking can all night and let them remember who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, dude, that's cool. Like when we get on this field, I can outwork you. And
because it kind of evens
everything's
the playing field.
it's the only place the playing field's even.
Right.
And in the gym too.
Right.
And on the trails.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what economic background you come from.
About it because you can't buy it.
No, you can't, dude. It's only bought through sweat
shortcuts.
equity.
Yeah.
That's it. It's the only way you can buy it.
Yeah.
And that's what drew me to 100 milers so much is like, it's not the most talented sub 2 hour marathon or 2:30 marathon runner. Like that's not the guy who wins it.
Right.
Like it's the one that's like probably was a mediocre distance runner, but is just a fucking dog.
Just crazy.
Yeah, just crazy enough to push through the hell and the pain in it.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit. It's a community of psychopaths that like I relate to. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's just like multiple experiences in life have kind of led to that.
Were you of the 4 siblings, oldest, middle? You're the oldest of 4?
Oldest, yeah.
Yeah. Did your parents start getting more money as you got older, or do you feel like your other siblings had a similar upbringing?
No, they didn't. They had a very, very, very different upbringing. They had it. My dad tells my wife to this day, like he had it so incredibly different than the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things kind of turned around for my family and we're getting better. Probably kids moving out, less stuff you got to come up with. My dad had some breaks come here and there and doing the best he could at the time and then got some breaks.
Yeah. Just in it longer.
Yeah. Things worked out and they lived a much easier life than me, both from a financial standpoint and an opportunity standpoint. And I loved it. Yeah. I was so happy.
When you look back, so one of the things I want to talk to you about parenting, but so my parents and I we have a great relationship. But I grew up, work ethic was probably the number one thing for me.
Yeah.
Like always, we worked. And I'm grateful for it. And there's been some times that like, as my parents and I have, healed old wounds or like worked through old stuff or whatever, that sometimes there's been these tones of almost like apologetic tones. I'm like, I'm stoked on it. Yeah.
Yes, dude.
And I mean it sincere. Like I am thrilled with the way I was raised because it made me who I am. Dude. Good, bad, or ugly. Like I'm grateful for it. And I look back too, when I have hindsight now, I was born to be an entrepreneur. Like I rented my parents' VHS tapes from their garage and like, I had all this stuff. My dad helped me start a garbage can cleaning business. Like we just worked. Yeah. But he helped me like put the entrepreneurial spin on it and stuff. But I look back and I'm like, I'm thrilled with that. Yeah. And so now, and this is what I'm curious your insight for, because you've got 3 kids and you're successful. Like the hard work has paid off. Yeah. A dilemma that I have that I'm curious your insight on is I want my kids to have the work ethic, the resilience, the grit, like the stuff about me that I'm grateful for. But I also simultaneously want to provide for them the most amazing life ever. Yeah. And I'm curious if you've given that much thought or your perspective on like how you balance that as a father and like, instilling some of those same traits.
I think about it a ton, man. I think about it a ton. And I had just had this conversation a week ago with my father and my wife, where my dad came out and said, I have a lot of regrets as a dad, and I have a lot of stuff that weighs heavy on my mind. And basically, almost like in that weird apologetic thing, I'm like, stop. Yeah. Like, dude, you're 24-year-old, 23-year-old dad, like with very minimal means.
Doing the best with what you have.
Dude, you're trying to figure shit out, man. No one knows what the fuck they're doing when they start. Right. You're just trying your best every day.
They don't come with owner's manuals.
No. So like, I have share the same sentiment with you. And I think that probably helped my dad a lot, being able to be like, look, dude, I don't hold anything against you. And in fact, thank you. Yeah. Because you gave me intangibles that like 99% of the world just can't even comprehend.
So how do we give those to our kids now?
So leading into that, I have definitely a different mindset when it comes to my kids. And I think it's from growing up with having been in so many of those situations. I just never want them to be in them. And I do walk that fine line of sometimes being like, God, y'all are fucking spoiled, man. Like, you never had to work for anything, and I give you all this insane shit. Like, both my boys walking around in Jordans, like the nicest shit. And I'm just like, and I love doing that for them because I never had it. And I think I've come to terms with like, let's make things really hard on the football field in
controlled environments.
Yes, in controlled environments. And let's make the rest of life as easy as possible. Yeah. And I think this also goes back. I was talking to my cousin, and I won't get into, because I'm not going to get into too much of his business, but he's a very successful person in life. And we were at a gathering where people were basically frowning upon the fact that he had bought his son a very nice first vehicle. And I stood up and I was like, fuck that, dude. No, bro. Like, you didn't come from this. You worked your ass off to be in this position. Buy your kid $100,000 fucking car, man. Right. Like, that's the whole point of this thing. That's the whole point of me working hard, right? My family started this socioeconomic class. Like, I want to end it like this, and I want my kids to end it like this. Like, It is a rolling transition. Like, that is the whole point of America. Like, our families came here as immigrants, bro, with nothing. At some point during the change of that thing, I don't care where you're at economically right now. If you're living here in this country, somebody along the way took a chance, worked their ass off, and made it. Yeah. Let's not frown on that and treat people shitty because somewhere along the lines, like, somebody worked their ass off.
How do you keep that agreed 100%? But you know that saying of like, I'm going to butcher it again, but it's like hard times
create soft men.
Soft men create hard times.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
Yeah. It's true. It's true.
So how do you appreciate the success and like, let the family benefit from it? Because that's the whole point.
Controlled environments.
Controlled
environments. And that's where I found like
athletics is the best. Is
100%. And me and you have talked about this before. Some of the best life lessons I've learned I would say that translate everywhere else in life are from football.
Yeah.
And the things that I learned in football carried over to the reason I was in the positions to make these other experiences happen were because of the experiences that I had in football that then led into be a cop. And like, I knew how to like navigate that situation probably in a better way. And it made even a bigger lesson down the line in the secondary term, but it's because of the groundwork that was laid in this first thing.
Right.
Not from the, like, I don't know that I gained that much of an edge on everyone else because I grew up without.
Right.
Like, I think that the edge came from like maybe a couple examples of that, but I still think like
Sorry, finish.
I think I can tell my kids like, hey, I will double whatever you save on a car. Like
Right.
things like that. Like celebrate their wins with what you have, but make them put in a little bit of groundwork to get there. And then when they get on the field, you dog the shit out of them.
Right.
And like you make it really hard and really shitty and gritty and make them work for it and make them understand that like you still, no matter how successful you are in life or whatever, like I don't care if Sidney Crosby's parents were like loaded. Like it didn't matter. Like when he got on the rink or when he spent the time shooting in his garage, like he in his mind had that like I come from nothing mindset because like his parents weren't like pro hockey players that gave him lessons. Maybe they did, but like I don't know. Whatever happened there on the court or on the ice or on the football field at that moment, I think carries over into everything else in life. And if you can make it into a controlled environment, awesome. And I'm not willing to, and I told my wife this, like I'm not willing to have my kids go without to teach them the lesson of hardness.
Right.
Because I just want to give them everything that I never had.
And you think it's possible to do both?
Yeah. I think it's possible to do both.
When you look back, because you mentioned just there, like the, I forget the exact words, but basically like the lessons weren't necessarily from not having it. It was more of the grit thing.
Yeah.
Do you think that it was more of like the mindset or the belief that you were like, as you worded it, you're a Lubonski, like it doesn't matter what we have. It matters who we are, like how we can overcome. And do you think that those, because I'm curious, like when you're looking back on your life, if some of the mental fortitude maybe came from the parenting of your parents as opposed to like the lack of economic.
Yeah. I think it was a lot of tough love. It was a lot of tough love. Probably not the way that I would handle it.
Right.
It was more so you're not good enough. But he had in mind, he wanted to get more out of me. Like I remember being in like 10th grade and like going to like Applebee's after a fucking high school football game with like my high school girlfriend and thinking like I made 12 tackles. I played great. My dad, no joke, was at that restaurant and said, you played like shit tonight. I can't wait to go home and watch that fucking tape. And we went home and watched that tape and he picked apart every single thing I did bad. He wouldn't tell me till 10 years later that, dude, you played unreal that night. But like,
that might be why you like positive affirmation.
Yeah, no, it is. And so all of that to say, like, I think that there's probably something deep rooted in most people that are like successful and want to prove something wrong.
Yeah.
And whether they want to like to admit it or not, I know mine. I've self-diagnosed it. It's insecurities and wanting approval from others.
Yeah, but there's okay, so 100%. There's conflicting realities.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you experience the same thing because I do. It's like crippling insecurity.
Yeah.
Paired with just overt self confidence. Like I'm trying to think how to explain it. It's like I am simultaneously one of the most insecure people in the world and have the most profound self belief that I can do it. Mm-hmm. And it's like those two combined are why I think the drive is there. It's like I believe I can. And scared that I'm not enough if I don't.
That's exactly it. So that's exactly it. You have to have the belief in yourself that you can do the thing while also being scared that it's not enough.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably
such a fine line.
It's probably not healthy, right? It's definitely not healthy. But it's like it is enough to will you to want more than the average person who sets it on cruise control.
Do you ever wish you were satisfied with less?
Yeah, man. I really do. I really do wish that. And my wife like has a joke. She's like, it's never enough. And I'm like, I get that. And she knows it. Like, it's just, I don't know what it is, but it's never enough.
Right.
And it's not like it's not enough shit or enough money. It's like, it's not enough achievements or accomplishments or hard things, like whatever way you want to channel it. But like, I think that I wish it was enough sometimes but I don't know, right? It's such a weird thing, like not to get like super weird and into it, but like, I don't know how the average I don't know how the person walking by right now, I don't know how they feel.
Right.
Like everyone might actually feel the same way. Just some people act on
Just
it. Some
on a
people don't.
different.
Yeah. Yeah. But like,
I've thought of that. I've actively told my wife.
Yeah.
I wish I could be, because by all metrics, I'm successful.
Yeah.
I've got it all.
Yeah.
And I'm like driven as ever, which I am though working on gratitude along the way. And that's helping. Like I'm super appreciative of what I've got. And I've got those moments where I like slow down and I'm like loving the time with the family. You have to
celebrate the wins, man.
But there are times that I'm like, well, I'll just be honest. I'm tired. Yeah. Like there's times when I'm like, wishing that I could, like the business, for example, it would be great if I would be satisfied with like just stagnant. Like let it be. It's good. I'm making it, whatever. But I'm like, no. We got to grow. There's all these other things.
Yeah.
And it's so conflicting because that also just fuels me. Like I love it. When I'm at my best when I'm building something, whether I'm building my body or a deck or my business or, a relationship or whatever. But like, and it's not necessarily, I think that maybe that's what it is that the fact that it's not enough isn't the thing. Like I actually genuinely believe that I don't have, are you familiar with the finish line fallacy?
No.
So you think that when you get to that finish line, you'll be happy and then you move the goalpost or whatever. Yeah. But here's what my theory on it is that it has nothing to do with the finish line. It's in pursuit of it. And so.
Yeah, I love the pursuit.
That's the thing.
I fucking love the pursuit.
And that's why it's quote unquote, it's never enough, because it is enough, but we're most fulfilled when we're in pursuit.
Yeah.
And so it's not like to diminish the other accomplishments. It's just that we have to continually stay in pursuit. And I think that human beings in general are best in pursuit.
Yeah.
I think maybe for people, the level of that changes.
I think you have to be in pursuit. You gotta be.
Otherwise, what are we doing?
Of something. Something. You have to have some tangible goal that you're in pursuit of. A realistic one.
Something.
That's important to say too. Like it has to be realistic, because if you just set unrealistic, like that's cool, shoot for the moon and land on the stars, right. Shit. But like, or whatever the saying is, but like you also need to have tangible goals that you can reach so that there is some sort of satisfaction in there,
right? Or
you'll never be able to compound the interest of satisfaction.
Yeah, you got to hit it.
Yeah. No, I think that I definitely have that. We have that in common, but I do think that maybe there's micro macro levels to it. Mine, I think a large amount of me pushing or where I'm at today is like, so the cop thing, right? Like I came into the police department and I came onto it with a lot of guys I knew. I would say half of my hometown friends are with the same department. And it was like a sentiment that like, all right, you're not fast enough. You're not tough enough. You're not good enough. And I was like, I'm going to make a specialty unit in the first year that I'm on the department. No one does that. I'm like, watch me.
Yeah.
And I did. And it was the one that I wanted to go to. And it was the baddest one of all of them. And it's like that. And it was because I was insecure of what other people thought of me that pushed me to that. Like, it really wasn't like my desire to do that thing. Like, it was just like, what will people think of me if I don't?
And do you think it was because they said you couldn't?
Yeah.
Or
yeah, and wanting to prove them wrong, but also like battling inner stuff of being like insecure about who I am as a person.
Right.
Which like, it's hard to admit it. It's easier now that maybe that I have more self-confidence with who I am. And it feels really good to be able to come out and be like, yeah, dude, I got some pretty bad insecurities. Like I deal with some pretty deep shit in my mind. But it drives me to be at this different level. And like, I've turned it into success.
Right.
So, but it's cool to like also be on a level of somebody that might be going through that and be like, dude, I go through that same shit.
Right.
As you, like, you can turn it around.
Yeah. It takes confidence to say you're insecure.
Yeah. I think like
another conflicting thing,
like the whole workout thing dude, I'll even say some of this stuff with sports. Like I remember like probably, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Like I would like girls that would not give me attention at all. I was a little bit overweight, like didn't give me the time of day. And I went to a new high school and I was like, I'm going to be a fucking stud athlete. I'm going to be ripped.
You chose it.
Yeah. And then I had a girl, my like high school girlfriend, break up with me before going to a D1 school where she ended up dating like probably a D1 athlete or whatever. Right. But I was like, she broke up with me because I was a D3 athlete. Like I got to prove everybody wrong like all the time. But no, all of that was like rooted from insecurity that made me get better, which
So it's weird because in a way it's almost a good thing. Like the insecurity.
Yeah, but in the moment you can spiral.
Yeah.
And it's bad. And you can deal with some like pretty dark, deep, dark shit in the moment that I wish I didn't deal with. And I wish I didn't put others around me that love me and are close to me. I wish I didn't put them through it.
Right.
But I do. And it always comes out on top. But eventually it does take a toll on the people that are with you.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to. My wife absorbs a lot of that past trauma and bullshit that like insecurities still to this day, dude. Like there'll be things and she'll be like, why are you concerned with that? Like you are good enough. Like you're awesome. Why are you worried about that? And I'm like, and I'll be frank. I'm like, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. This is how I'm feeling right now.
Right.
And
it's real.
Yeah, dude, having a partner that you can be with in a relationship where you can say, this is exactly how I'm feeling and cut no cards, no bullshit and tell them exactly is like the greatest therapy of all time, I feel like. Because like just hearing their perspective on it is usually really helpful.
And reminds you when you're being crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And reminds you that like what you have is enough.
Right.
And that you are winning.
Right.
And everything is great. I got the most beautiful wife in the world who loves me and 3 amazing kids, a badass house, nice cars, a good job. Like we're winning, man. We're winning right now. Like there's no need to like feel like you're losing.
Right.
It's okay to feel like you want to do better, but like you're not losing.
That's the balance. It's like shifting now to knowing that like that it's there, but enough still hunger for the continued pursuit.
Yeah. Yeah. You've reached one mountaintop, right? But there's more.
Right.
Like it's okay to go and try to climb the other ones, but be content that you hit the first one.
Yeah.
And like realize that you are standing at base camp 3 instead of base camp 1. Right. Like, you know what I mean? It's a fine line, dude, because it can drive you insane, dude.
Insane. And it's so dangerous about like how we compare, especially now too, with like because someone's always going to be doing more. Like someone's going to be doing something else, and that idea that I think what do they say? Comparison is the thief of joy,
dude. Oh my god, it is. And if you
it's so common now because of social media and stuff like. And what we're comparing to isn't even real. Usually, it's
usually not real, man. It's usually a fake, made up thing. I have found that I've never had an issue with social media though.
Really?
Thankfully, thank God. Of all the things that I'm susceptible to, seeing a flashy guy on Instagram that's on steroids and driving a nice car, I laugh about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, this fucking guy. It's honestly, it is really comical to me and I've never compared it. Whereas in the past, like I have had a chip on my shoulder. Like I'll see guys that, and maybe it's a breakthrough in my life that's happened in the last 3 years. And like, I swear to God, it happened after Murph.
Yeah.
I became good with myself. Somewhere in that process, like I became good with me.
I want to unpack that.
Yeah.
Because, and that's what's so cool about like these huge events. Like my 100-miler changed me forever.
Every single one changes me. Every 100-miler I do changes me.
Right. And like you talked about there, like it stemmed from, that year of Murph, like it didn't bother you anymore.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, just from your perspective, like obviously we're not, psychologists or anything like that, but like, what do you think it is about those extremely hard situations that then make the other adversities of life a little bit easier?
Dude, I don't know what it is. And I've questioned this. And like you're reading Comfort Crisis right now, right? Like I've read, Do Hard Things. I've read every book you can possibly read. And I wish I could say I'm David Goggins. I wish I could say I wake up every day trying to be the hardest motherfucker in the worworld. I don't, man. There's a lot of days where I'm like, all right, today's a good day to be soft.
Yeah.
But
I like being soft just as much as I like being hard.
Yeah, dude. So I think that there's like, I don't know what it is. But there's something that happened in that year that did so much internally for me. Like my relationship, like, dude, my mindset was like, you couldn't pay a therapist $1 million to diagnose the shit that I had going on in my head that was solved by 4 months of doing 1 mile, 300, 200, 100, 1 mile.
Over and over and over again.
In a 120-pound pass. Yeah. Like that is what I don't know. That's what did it for me. At some point there was a transition in that where I was like, I remember prior to that looking at guys that made more money than me, that I grew like in my inner circle, right? And I would have a jealousy.
Right.
And I'd be like, man, fuck that guy. Like his dad gave him blah, blah, blah. He got this. Whereas I was just like, dude, good for him, man. He's killing it. Like, I was genuinely, I meant that.
Yeah.
I didn't give a fuck what he was doing.
Happy.
Yeah, sincerely happy for that person and didn't give a fuck what they were doing. But other than being happy for my friend that he achieved something in that moment.
Right.
And like, I don't know what, and it would, whoever can figure it out could be a gazillionaire because something in that shit, dude, like shifted my entire mindset. Is like an ayahuasca treatment or some kind of mental breakthrough that happened in that thing. But dude, I got really good with myself.
That's so great.
It was like thousands of pounds lifted off of me.
Yeah.
And I became a better friend, a better husband, a better father, better everything, man.
Yeah.
Just by doing 1 mile, 300, 200, 100, 1 mile, which is crazy, right?
It's crazy because on paper too, it's so simple. Doing it is not, obviously.
Yeah.
But like that's what I love about stuff like that is like the profound impact that it has on every other aspect of your life. So let's go back to the hero watts.
Yeah.
I meant to talk about that more too, but I love that too, that transition. And then, you know, and because then it's shifted to now like truly not about you. Yeah. And I loved when, you know, you would do like the story about them and like there was always a little like, you know, shout, I don't know. There was like,
I always told their story,
honoring them. Yeah.
I always told their story. That was the most important thing to me. I was like, and it's because when I did Murph, I was like, we're telling one person's story. Like there's so many heroes that have died doing so many amazing things that don't even compare to what I'm doing in a gym right now. Like celebrate the fuck out of these guys, man. And
walk me through how that evolved and how that felt, because that got similar momentum.
Yeah, it did. And I think because it was authentic. It was really authentic, and it was about other people and not about me. And it was about I don't know. It was a really cool thing though. It was a give back moment, full circle moment of like, I selfishly started doing this. I got a platform. Now let me tell their stories. And I think also people were looking for some way to challenge themselves with a greater meaning to it, right? And when you attach a hero to it, it's not just about you in that moment. Like you internally, or at least maybe this is just how I think about it. I was like, all right, if I quit right now in this workout, I'm a pussy. Like this guy dragged his whole squad up a cliffside and then got killed and saved them in a really, really horrible, terrible moment. Like he had the wherewithal and the physical dominance in that moment to execute, like in a real world situation. Like this is nothing, but like, so you can't quit. So like push it. And I think it resonates with a lot of people. I think a lot of people could put themselves in that mindset of like them more than me. Like, I don't know. Again, I'm not a psychologist, but it gained a lot of traction and a lot of people started doing the workouts as their regular.
It kind of created a community.
Yeah, it was really cool, man. A lot of people were doing the workouts prescribed that day and you know, that was their workout. Like,
how did you get them? How did like, you know, but like honestly, because I remember watching him thinking like, how in the world are you still getting hero watts? Yeah.
So like multiple databases. So like multiple databases, like CrossFit.com is amazing for, if you look at the workout of the day, like through calendar days, you can go back and look at every single day throughout whatever history. And you can see like typically like Dave programmed this workout on this guy's day. And like, then you can go in and see the day they died, their end of watch day or their date of death. And then you can match it back to the calendar and you know, kind of put it in there. The other thing is like, I'm not sponsored by these people at all, but Wadwell has like a paid app and it was like $3.99 for the month. And you can go in and you can search every single day and it'll show in history any day that aligns with that day when a workout was written, which is like, we probably need to reach out to them about marketing. Yeah. Probably. Because it is like, it's a really killer site, man. Yeah. And it's really killer for guys that just want to work out in their garage and follow a program and maybe can't afford to spend $100 a month to go to the gym or don't have the time to go make class time work. But they're a first responder and they're going in for night shift and they get to work out from 11 p.m. till 1 a.m. or, you know, that's their shit. And they can't afford the $60 to $100 programming. Right. Like this is $2.99 and you can get a good sweat and you can physically grow from this. Like, I don't know. I've always in my mind thought like there was a way to shift that to a greater good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that whole thing was like a big transition from selfish to selfless.
Yeah.
And it was a really
walk
cool.
me through that, the impact and like the reach outs that you got.
Yeah, I did a workout, I think like third or fourth day. And I'm not going to look it up right now, but it's because this happened so many times and I don't want to forget anybody's name. But it was for a soldier who had died. I think it was a Marine, and his sister commented on it and said, "Thank you for honoring my brother."
Wow.
And I was like, holy shit, dude. Like, okay. It's easy to look at a website page and see a workout with a guy's picture on it.
Yeah.
Right. But there's so many people that affected.
Right.
Like, it really put it into perspective for me.
That's the coolest thing. That's what I love. Social media is such a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
But I think if used, I always say that, we don't need to use it less. We need to use it more intentional.
Yeah.
And like, it's real people. Like
Yeah.
real, like how crazy, because she doesn't know you.
No.
And I don't even know how they would have gotten exposure to that. But like,
people sent it to him.
How did that feel? Like,
it was amazing.
It
was amazing.
And to put the word brother on it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, I had people reach out. My son, my husband, one of the biggest impacts was when I did somebody's, a widow's husband's workout. She DM'd me, "Thank you so much, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, 60,000 people saw your, which is, or at the time, no, I think that workout got like 400,000 views.
Just went wild, yeah.
And I was like, 400,000 people know your husband's story and are probably doing this workout today. Like, he was a great man, etc. Like, it was just really, really cool. And going back to what you were saying about social media being a double-edged sword, during my 2 years of really being heavy on social media during the Murph and the hero thing, I don't have a negative thing to say about social media.
Yeah.
It was nothing but good, man. It was nothing but good.
That's so great.
It was above and beyond good.
And that's, I think, part of that, I think, speaks to the authenticity with which you did it. I put out my documentary, my 100-mile documentary a couple weeks ago.
Awesome.
And I was terrified. Because it's vulnerable. Like,
yeah.
I ugly cried through that. You know, like, I'm a mess through half of it. And I was so scared to put it out there. And nothing but love.
Yeah.
Like, only it's been positive. And it's so relieving to me of like,
because it's real, dude. Most people are dealing with those situations in those environments, or like would deal with it in that situation. And it's nice to not see somebody like gas it up on Instagram.
And like how good we are.
Yeah.
Stay hard.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Like, I was bawling like a baby and genuinely didn't think I could keep going and like all that stuff. And I think that's the caveat to it, is I think where some of the crap comes through is when it's fake, like when it's filtered.
Most of it.
That's why your stuff, I think, it's why it resonated so much with me for years, is the authenticity behind it, the vulnerability.
Yeah. And I was just doing it in a garage to a regular house with like minimal equipment, like just a regular dude.
Do you think you'll ever do something like that again?
Yeah, definitely. I want it back. I want the feeling back of like being on the chase of something really cool.
Yeah.
Like, but it has to be ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Like,
have you given, and I'm not like,
yeah,
we're not putting this out.
No.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Like, a couple of ideas.
Yeah. A couple things. I said I wanted to try to do 500 Murphs, like for time. Like, how many days would it take?
How fast can you do 500
do
Murphs?
like some in like 10 a day, like 3 a day, 4 a day.
10 a day?
Yeah. I've done 5 in a day. I've never done more than that. But
you
like,
have?
Yeah, in my peak though, like between Murph and Hero 365, I got in my head that I was going to be competitive in CrossFit and was quickly brought back down to reality. Dude, I worked out with a guy named Taylor Self, who's a CrossFit athlete. He was like qualified for regionals, and he's like a character on Savant's podcast, but like somebody that like, he's like the coolest dude in the world, super real, raw, like original, like just a dude you want to hang out with.
Yeah.
And then like through all these opportunities, like I got flown out to work for Paper Street Coffee at his gym's competition, and like got to work out with a world-class athlete, and dude put my dick in the dirt. And I was just like, this is what it's about. I'm not. And I was like on the edge of being like 32, and like at 34 you go up into the next age class. But I was like, all right, I'm going to take 2 years to get really strong, and like I'm going to make a run at Masters.
Yeah.
And then I worked out with a masters athlete, and I was like, "Oh my god,
That
that ain't me, dog." So no, but it was
funny.
cool. It was cool to like to go through it and experience it.
Well, the cool thing about it is whatever you choose, and there will be another one. I
Yeah.
can sense that, like
Yeah.
whatever it'll be.
Yeah.
I don't know if you followed along with Truett Haynes or not with the pull-up record.
Yeah, that's something I feel like I could break.
It was, I don't remember how long ago, but he broke it the first time.
Yeah, I didn't see the second time.
The next day, someone else broke it.
Oh
So
shit!
he broke the pull-up world record, and I forget the numbers, like whatever. It was like 6,000 or something in 24 hours. The literal next day, someone from Australia broke his record. So he only had the record for like 24 hours. And it was like a year ago. And it was just one of those, it's been fun to watch that of like, you set that goal and then relentlessly pursue it. And he worked on it for a year and like documented it and then did 10,000 in a day, 10,001.
No, I can't break that. I could never break that. That's insane.
But it was wild because like that one was a cool one to see the effort win and then the immediate loss.
Yeah, that's tough.
And then the response to that of like doing
that's
it.
badass, dude.
And it's an example of like,
that's
because
super
I can
cool.
tell your gears are turning.
Yeah,
like what the thing is.
Well, I've had a couple of ideas, and I like things like my buddy Matt ran across the state of Texas.
Yeah,
that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like I had thought in my mind, like
Matt Johnson.
Yeah.
So I got a quick shout out to him. I've never met him in person.
I met him in person.
We're social media buddies, but
he's a good dude.
He filmed me a video before my 100 miler. Meant the world to me.
Oh, really?
And he doesn't even know me, and you know we've exchanged messages and whatever. And he sent me a video, and like those are. Anyway, that's just the type of stuff.
Shout out, Matt. That's my boy.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's so cool. Like. What a great community, you know, people that we've never met, but we're rooting for each other and in each other's corners. And that's why the relationship with you has been so cool because it's been years of that. Yeah. And then finally meeting in person. But anyway, shout out to that.
I met Matt at BPN. BPN flew me out to do Murph for their Memorial Day Murph. And like also shout out Adam Clank. Like, dude, the man. Love that guy. Like just positive, fucking awesome energy all the time and killer dad and harps on being a killer dad. Yeah. Like that's him. So I met Matt there. We went out to eat afterwards with Adam and everything. And we just kind of like started talking back and forth. And like Matt's story is like crazy, right? Like true redemption and like pulling yourself out of the dirt and just going for it. Yeah. And I'm like,
his is
so fucking raw, vulnerable. Yeah. I watched his, like, when I first met Matt, I think he had like 20,000 followers. And now he's got like over 200,000. And I was just rooting for him the whole time because like he's like when you watch a 16 seed beat a 1 seed. Yes. But he is really talented. But he is super talented because you watch him run. Like he ran BPN's marathon and he won it.
First place. Yeah.
He's fucking fast, dude. He's actually fast, but he's also a dog.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's cool. Matt's the man.
So yeah, but he ran across Texas.
Yeah, that's cool as shit. So something like that would be something that like I would love to do. Like that kind of like extreme Dude, there's also a guy who I follow, and I apologize for not knowing his name. He ran across the state of New Mexico with a fucking vest on.
Oh, no way. I've thought about that if anybody's run ultras with a vest.
Dude, this guy ran across the state of New Mexico with a fucking vest on.
Crazy.
Insanity, right?
Crazy.
Yeah, I had this crazy.
Wow. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Dude, that guy deserves way more credit than he got because that is like insane. Yeah, I thought about running an ultra with a vest on too. I also played around with the idea of doing 50 miles, 10 Murphs, 50 miles, all with a vest on. Oof. So 100 miles and like 10 Murphs, right? Which would be like 1,000 pull-ups.
That would be insane.
Yeah, I honestly like truly think that I could do that. Yeah. But it would be like 30 hours.
Well, yeah.
30, 40 hours on a completely flat course.
Right. Right. Yeah. That'd have like a track or whatever, but yeah.
Yeah. It would have to be something that speaks to me and like.
And when you have it, you know. You'll
know
it.
And like I had it with here at 365. I had it like day like 130. Right. I knew what I was going to do. Murph like kind of like toyed around with the idea like in the past of doing 30 days of it. So like kind of had the idea. The 100 miler was like, you know, I knew I was going to do a 100 miler after I was done here at 365. Like I knew that was the next goal. Yeah. Then I did that. And like that was nice because that was a truly for me. Yeah. Because I had just come off of the last 8 months of Murph being about other people, kind of fueled in that community. Here at 365, really being about other people throughout the entire thing, to saying, okay, this is for me. Like, I want to prove to myself that I have the grit and determination to run 100 miles.
To go do it.
Yeah, and I failed my first one.
Well, dude, that's the thing about those, is that they're so personal.
So personal.
Because, like, I mean, most of the time there's no cell phone service. Like, who knows where you are? Like, whatever. Like, I tried my best to document when I'm doing mine and, like, you know, do the Instagram story or whatever.
I do it for like 10 miles.
It has to be for you. That's what I love about 100 milers. I don't know if you know Josh Rosenthal or not, but follow him on Instagram if you're not. But he's such a great guy, and he's one of my favorite writers. Okay. But he's kind of a voice for trail running, ultras, and whatnot. And he talks about how there's this juxtaposition of running a 100-miler, that you're there for you and you have to do it yourself, but you couldn't do it without this immense support from the community and the volunteers.
Oh, it's the volunteers and it's the runners. It's everybody.
I love it. And it's like so such a great microcosm for life of like on our own journeys, but with the support.
I tell people this all the time. If you're having doubts and you've lost faith in humanity, go to a 100-mile race and just sit at a aid station.
Yes.
For just one cycle.
Yeah.
And just see the people that come through there, the runners, the volunteers, the people putting on the race, the people there watching other people do 100-milers. Everyone is just all about you finishing the race. No one gives a fuck about position in most of these. Like the top three, like, yeah, they compete and they're insanely talented. But for the majority of people there, it's you versus the course.
Yep.
And you want every single person on that course to finish so badly. Like, you feel it. You pass them and you're like, come on, dude, like, you got this shit. And you really mean it.
The only sport I know of that when you pass someone, you encourage them.
Yeah.
Like, or, you know, or it's.
Or you see the first place runner who's beat you by 3 hours coming back around. You're like, bro, let's go. And like, you're fired up for him because you're like, that guy's running the race of his life today.
Yeah.
And you're fired up about it.
My good buddy Sean ran Leadville this last year, and I got to pace him for like 16 miles. And then, you know, at the finish line and whatever. And I didn't even run the race. I crewed and paced a little bit. And I was crying afterwards.
Yeah, it's emotional, dude.
It's remarkable people doing remarkable things.
And it's a lot of them, too.
It's the best of humanity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is. And it's a really out of body experience when you're there and you're just ingrained fully in that community, and everybody just really wants the other person to do their best on that day. It's so cool.
It's the best.
That's what got me to run the third one.
Yeah.
The second one was just redemption from the first one.
Right.
The third one was like, I kind of miss like seeing all those people and
the
like
community.
Yeah, I miss that. So that's what kind of brings me back to wanting to do it again.
Yeah.
That mountain run we did earlier does not make me want to do it again, dude.
We'll come run one in Colorado.
Holy shit! I don't know, dude. This altitude out here is a different.
We'll run Leadville.
So if you got in Leadville, I would 1,000% come run and crew with you. If we were able to get 2 bibs in that race, I would commit to doing Leadville.
Yeah.
Just because it's Leadville.
Yeah.
And it's like,
you got to do it.
In my opinion, Leadville is like the pinnacle of physical achievements.
Yeah.
Like, it really is. And you, like, I'm not a runner. Like, I've never have been. I was historically the slowest person, like in all my football teams of like, not the slowest, but I was slow for a skilled position. And not really, I hated running distance. Like, never me, dude, not ever. I just wanted to like do curls.
Yeah.
And then I just like tapped into this, like doing hard shit and proving yourself like worth and like, you know, everything that comes along with it. And it's really cool because it is super achievable.
Yeah. And I actually believe that anybody could do it.
I say the same thing and people don't believe me.
I truly believe it.
I really believe it too.
I've got nothing.
I'm the same way. I feel the same exact way. That is where the field is so equal for me and the rest of the world in terms of like, I shouldn't be there running that race.
Right.
That's truly how I feel.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like if I can do that, anybody can do that, man. Right. Like, you really can. And it's not like, not everyone can run a sub 3-hour marathon. Like, there's some people that's not in the cards.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, physically, they're never going to be fast enough to run a 7-mile pace for that long. Like, God did not gift them ability to do it. Right. But you can actually be pretty fucking competitive in 100-mile races with a lot of determination and running a 10-minute mile.
Yeah.
Like 10-minute mile average pace, you're probably coming close to the top 10.
Crushing it.
Yeah. Especially even on flat courses, dude. Like you're probably top 10, top 20. which is like really achievable
Right.
with a lot of really hard work.
It's because it's all mental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of work.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, there was times where I was doing, I did 9 weeks in a row of 100 plus
100-mile
miles.
weeks,
Yeah. And it was not easy miles.
Right.
My coach, Charlie, had extremely difficult time standards within those 400-meter repeats, 1,000-meter repeats within there at like 6:30 paces, and then 13-mile cool downs for 26 on a casual fucking Saturday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this was not easy. This was really, really hard. And the training was really, really hard. When I got to the race, I felt so fucking prepared, over prepared for the last one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's mental and it's physical. Like, it's mental to go into training every day.
Oh, that's just as much.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Like a Tuesday after you've given 12 hours of everything you have at the office.
Right. And now you got to go run a half marathon with intervals or whatever.
Yeah. Thinking about running 1,000-meter repeats at sub 7.
The worst.
And then I got to go be a dad. And I got to do this in under 2 hours because I got to be a dad.
Yeah. So I have to run fast too.
Right. Yeah, dude. So it's very mental and physical.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be good at it.
Right.
It is very physical as well as mental.
100%.
Just to complete it, you could probably get away with just being very mentally tough.
Right. Yeah.
Or very mentally committed to that.
Right.
The other thing is you have to want it.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want it on the first one. It was external. I say it was selfish reasons that I did it, but it was more so like, I put this out there, like I can't fail because of what other people will think of me.
Right.
But I didn't really care that much. The second one was like, all right, like I have to finish this for me. Like I'm going to train it seriously. I'm going to do everything I can to finish this race. And I wanted it so badly for myself. The first one, I was like, it's okay to bow out at 60. Like you rolled your ankle, like no one will think less of you. My ankle is like the size of a fucking softball.
Right.
I'd never rolled my ankle before in my life. And I was just like, all right, I'm done. But the second one, like I could have broken my leg and I think I would have finished it.
Yeah. Well, that's like the second I stepped over the start line, the decision was made.
Yeah.
Like
you have to.
Yeah. There was no,
I
never even let the thought cross my mind.
Yeah.
And I had everything that could have gone wrong did, but it was just like,
I think for your first complete 100, you have to have that
like period
non-negotiable. It is happening.
Yeah.
Then you start to understand
like
throughout.
You maybe don't want to kill yourself.
Well, no, not just that you understand that even the best in the world, like everything has to line up.
Yeah.
In the course of 100 miles, if you're truly giving your best effort and trying and you're pushing yourself to the extreme, I swear to God, it's a 50-50.
Yeah.
It really is a coin flip.
Right.
Like I was so over prepared for the last one and like into it. I had stomach issues and I got pulled off the course.
Right.
But I wanted to be pulled off the course. Like I was so done at 80 miles that like I was also like pissing blood and it was
the whole thing.
It was really bad. I needed to get off the course. But if that would have happened on the second one, there ain't no fucking way.
No choice.
No way you're pulling me off that course.
Right.
Take my bib. I don't care. I'm finishing 100 fucking miles today. But the third one, I was just kind of like, all right, wasn't my day.
Yeah.
Next time will be best time ever. Like, and I think that once you get experience with it, like you understand. And then experiences in 100 miler that you bring into the third one is so different than the first one.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's bad, right? Because my first one, I got through 30 miles and I was like, dude, we're 30 in. My second one, I got through 30 miles and I was like, God damn, dude, I got another 70 in this motherfucker left.
Yeah.
Like I just gave it all for 30. And then the third one, like I ran PR marathon and I was like, got to the aid station. I was like, oh my God, dude, you got to run this 4 more times. And you remember what the pain is like.
Right. Yeah. Cause you at least know what's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know that it's not enough like to make you, like you could really actually push through it.
Right.
And some you can't. Yeah. But like, you know that it is achievable. After you felt the pain and you pushed a little bit, like I felt pain in the first one around like I rolled my ankle at like 6 miles and I went for another 48 or something like that, which I would have never in training like imagined that was possible.
Right.
So then going into the next one, when mile 70 happened and like I was in really bad pain, I was like, it's part of it.
Yeah.
We're all in this right now. It's part of it. And I looked around and I saw people in way worse shape than me. And I was like, all right, like deal with it, internalize it, and move on.
Yeah.
Like everyone's having this, everyone will have multiple 3 to 5 mile stretches where they're like, I'm done.
Of just full blown hell.
Yeah. And you are fucking battling.
Yeah.
You're battling mentally because I don't care. Like, I don't know, man. I'd be interested to know if David Goggins actually in his mind ever has a moment where he's like, it's enough. Like, I can't do this.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know, dude.
I mean, I got to think probably.
Probably, dude. Probably. I don't know, though. Maybe not.
Yeah.
But I have it. I know almost everybody I know that has run 100s have had multiple 3 to 5 mile stretches where they're like, if that aid station wasn't at mile 6,
oh, yeah.
they might have been done.
Best way I could describe it is that there's sections where it truly felt impossible.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not overstating it. Like,
Yeah.
it actually felt impossible.
Yep. And then you hear those cowbells.
Yeah.
And dude, it brings
then there's
life.
more.
It brings life back into you.
It's crazy.
And it's other people that you don't know that are serving you potatoes
yeah.
and tailwind.
yeah.
And you're like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, I'm going to fucking kill this thing. And you don't remember that 3 miles ago, you were in the fight of your life.
Right.
Dude.
Like, literally fighting for your
Dude,
life.
100 miles are a life experience that people should experience.
It packs a whole life experience into it.
Dude, into 24 hours
30
or 30
hours,
hours, dude, it's crazy.
It's the best.
It is. And now I kind of want to run another one.
We'll find one to sign up for.
My wife said never again. She was like, please tell me you won't do it again. And I was like, I can't tell you that I won't
Our
do it
agreement
again.
is 1 a year.
Yeah.
That's for
good.
crewing. Like she's like, yeah, 1 a year is enough.
Yeah, that is. I think one for most people is more than enough.
Yeah.
More than enough, because anything after that is just like some point of your life is going to suffer.
Yeah.
If you really taking it serious,
right.
Like some point of your life is really going to suffer, whether that's being a father
or
at
job
work
or whatever.
Yeah, something's going to really suffer.
Yeah. Jimmy, thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
This has been a
cool.
blast. And I just want to tell you, so I've got one of my Inspired by Example shirts for you.
Hell yeah, dude.
Because
that's awesome.
I want you to know, and you know this, but it's been so cool to see your journey, the way you put yourself out there, the impact that you've made on you, your family, your community, and honestly the world. And it has been it's been inspiring.
That's cool,
for lack of a better term. But if anybody like has lives that Inspired by Example mantra, you're at the top of that list.
Appreciate it.
And
man.
I want to sincerely thank you.
Thanks, man.
Not only for your time today and for the conversation, all that good stuff, but for what you've done, what you do beyond that is remarkable. And so thank you.
It.
Thank you for being who you are, and thank you for inspiring by example, because I appreciate the heck out of it.
That's really cool to hear from me, because I will go back to this over and over again. I am literally just like everybody else. Everybody else that follows these people on Instagram and is like, how the hell are they doing that? That is me. I'm a regular, average, at very, very average human. So it's really, really cool when people are like, oh, this helped me in this, or this inspired me in this. It's like, it's very surreal still to this day. So thank you. It's awesome.
It matters. Thank you.